CSO Talk 4, and this time again on a Sunday. Well, it is the 26th of April 2020. And it is already 1 week that I am back to work from my homey days. I hope you are all doing well and had a chance to see the COVID-19 field report video produced by Yvonne. What a great initiative! Thanks also from my side to all who participated there. And of course, for all those who did not see it yet, it is still on SkyHub. In CSO Talk 3, we went into space to see the International Space Station ISS, and I mentioned that it is possible to spot the ISS from Earth. And at the end of this video, I will give you some hints on when this will be possible again from our region, and where exactly in the sky you have to watch out for it. Today, I will give a very brief report from the Eurocontrol Safety Team meeting, which took place virtually last Monday, and with more than 60 participants from 32 organizations. I will also touch on the safety-related aspects of the recovery, or as we call it, the return to normal operations. And of course, as promised last time, we will have a closer look at exponential growth today. Today and worldwide, there are now almost 3 million coronavirus cases recorded, and 200,000 people lost their life because of COVID-19. When I recorded CSO Talk 3 on the 15th of April, there were 2 million cases and 140,000 deaths. And this represents an increase in cases by 50% and in fatalities by 42% in 11 days. Now, last Saturday, I even managed to take a picture of the only scheduled departure on that day from Geneva Airport. Let me briefly give you some of the highlights of the Eurocontrol Safety Team meeting now. The traffic situation is basically the same everywhere, with traffic being down by at least 85%. Some ANSPs have also started to use single-person operations in the en-route environment now, and the sectors are collapsed to the minimum everywhere. One of the major concerns we currently have from a safety perspective is boredom and skill reduction. The financial situation is exceedingly difficult for all ANSPs, and a few are already laying off staff or reduced salaries. Now, the safety team and the Council European Safety Directors Group have decided to join forces, work together and share our tasks from a single agenda. How the ramp-up will finally look like is still a complete unknown. There are we or you valley type scenarios possible, but we can also not exclude to see a so-called W valley scenario with a significant second wave of the pandemic later in the year. Let us now look a bit more specifically on the safety aspects of the return to normal operations planning. The Eurocontrol Safety Team developed a generic safety argument for this, and we have asked the SAFOPS group to support us in identifying all the possible transition hazards so that we can support a safe return to normal. For SkyGuide, this hazard identification was very much supported by the COVID-19 task force. And I would like to explicitly thank our SAFOP members Xavier and Isa for the coordination effort and all those inside the task force who contributed. I will not go into any further detail here, but the hazards which we identified clearly show a need for a coordinated approach at network level. During my last video, I said that the human brain cannot capture exponential growth. To illustrate the unimaginable power of exponential growth, let us have a look on an old Indian legend. The legend exists in various forms and in essence goes like this. Sher Khan was a king in India, and during his regency, someone invented a new game which is known as chess nowadays. The king was so excited about this new game that he wanted to reward the inventor. So he invited the guy, a very wise man, and explained to him that he was actually the richest and most powerful king of the world and would fulfill any wish the guy might have. The wise man gave it a thought and then asked for a single grain of rice on the first field of the chessboard. 2 on the second, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth, and so on. The king became angry because obviously the guy didn't understand what he just explained to him, and the royal consultants even started to laugh. Shere Khan was the richest king on earth, and instead this guy could have asked for gold, jewels, or even huge estates. But the guy confirmed his sole wish. So the consultants, and maybe a bit typical for this profession, did a rough first estimate and calculated the amount of grains to be put on the first 10 fields. Well, roughly 1,000 grains or so. Now, a chessboard of course has 64 fields. And Ray Kurzweil, Google's director of engineering, once said, "Exponential growth looks like nothing is happening. And then suddenly you get this explosion at the end." Back to Shere Khan, he ordered his servants to prepare the rice. Well, on field 64, the king would have to put 9 times 10 to the 18, or in English, 9 million trillion grains of the last field. If we take the total amount of rice on the chessboard and assume that an average grain weighs 25 milligrams, we end up with the equivalent of more than 500 years of the global annual rice harvest. I hope you do now understand why I say that the human brain cannot capture exponential growth. It always exceeds linear growth. Now, let us quickly make the link to the COVID-19 pandemic. While it is still far too early to have enough data and reliable parameters, let's assume that one infected person on average infects 3 others. 1, 3, 9, 27, exponential growth. I also mentioned the so-called logistics functions, which describe the growth over time based on a modified model of exponential growth taking into account the used resources, or in case of a pandemic, the amount of people having either become immune or died. But we would now enter very deeply into mathematical modeling, into systems of differential equations which are not solvable analytically, so I stop here. But for those who want to learn more, you might search for the SIR model, SIR standing for Susceptible Infectious Recovered. The origin of this model goes back to the 2 Scottish guys, McKendrick and Cormac, who published their theory already early last century. Now, you want to spot the ISS? The next possible time for doing so will be in early morning of the 2nd of May at around 4:30 and for 4.5 minutes. If the weather is okay, the ISS will be visible on its path from southwest-south to east-northeast, with a maximum height over the horizon of 59 degrees. So good luck and enjoy. And with this, we are at the end of CSO Talk 4. In CSO Talk 5, we will talk about the ISMS, the Integrated Safety Risk Management System. And Thierry Fourer will be with me for that on that day. So stay tuned, stay safe, and stay healthy. Bye for now.